Okay, I think we're on. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Art in the Morning. I'm Dee Dee, and I thought we'd just maybe do some playing in the big sketchbook, the very big sketchbook, which I have turned into my animal sketchbook. I'm going to try to keep all 600 pages, actually 1,200 because I'm doing front and back, all 1,200 pages just doing animal sketches and playing around with different ideas for fantasy animal paintings. If y'all saw my peace sloth poster. So, anyway, I thought today that I might just do a little bit of color studies or some close ups of eyes and noses. Let me just quickly show you so far what we have in here. Got an eagle, a zebra, a couple of cats, more lemurs, a cute little hamster with makeup, a couple of dogs, a giraffe that I thought would be cool in pink and purple, an owl, another dog, a rabbit. And these are just all practice animals for me to, just play with ideas, maybe do some close up studies of different parts of them. There's another otter. And some of these, if y'all watch my slideshow at the beginning of Ustream, you'll see a lot of these finished pieces. There's some prairie dogs, a crow, the penguins who Sunset Carol said they're at a job interview for a 50s diner. I love that. Hey, Moomy. Anybody else popping in? Thanks, everybody, for being here. We got quite a few people for 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the loss of an hour due to spring forward. So thanks everybody for being here. I'm going to do some kind of a steampunk uh, seahorse, a couple of lionfish, uh, raccoon, and a camel with some kind of a mustache. I already did a hump day poster. There's the sketch that we used for doing the peaceful sloth. Want to do a Cleopatra fox. There's just a little chipmunk, a squirrel on a skateboard with his iPad. I mean his uh, iPhone or iPod. A little Professor Hedgehog. Here is Beaver with his teeth, and I want to put one of those braces like thing on his teeth. A couple of monkeys, our alligator lady with the alligator purse, and practicing out trying to figure out what kind of stegosaurus scales we wanted. A couple of crabs. Um, this one has all the colors that I like. I'll just stop and do a little color thing. And that's another thing we hadn't talked about for a while is using color, um, what do you call it? The design seeds for color inspiration and for different combinations. And Barb talked about it again too. And by the way, all y'all that I've got like 6 different full shows to catch up on. So hopefully I can do that. We had a busy weekend with Boo and her cheer competition. And for those that might be watching, that did not know, she filled in for a sick girl on one team, and then her team, both of them came in second. But 3 of her gym's teams won summit bids. Boo's team had already won a summit bid, so that means now 4 of their gym teams are going to the summit in Florida. I think it's May. I don't know the exact day, but coming up May, I think. Need to need a part going across the beaver's forehead to sleep with. I don't know what the kind of headgear look like for braces, and do they even have that kind of stuff anymore? We're talking about the beaver and the braces. So anyway, but to get back to this particular crab that we drew a couple weeks ago, I love the colors in it. Let me see if I can find the picture again. Where is the little crab? There he is. That have all the colors in that I really. Let me just grab my Neo colors here. my water soluble crayons. If y'all don't know about Neo Colors, make sure if you want the water soluble crayons, you get Neo Color 2. Let me show you what the box looks like so you know what to buy. And they come in different amounts. This one has 84, but you can get them down from like 6, 12, 24, 36, and 48. I'm not sure. And they're not cheap, but they last forever. I'm telling you, I've had these for like, I think at least 2 years now. And you can't even hardly tell I've used them. Even the ones I use a lot. I mean, like, here's the one I've used a lot. It doesn't, they don't wear, they just last forever. And so anyway, I'll just go ahead and just slide this over here. And let me try to maybe keep my little sketchbook thing over here because this is my camera focus. Kind of keep that down there, a little help. Let me find a water brush. Do I have water in it? Let me grab a little water in my water brush. Hang on, guys. So anyway, if you go to design-seeds.com, Design Seeds, you can get sent in your email or just go to their site and look and get different color combinations. They look like, it's like they do paint chips, different color combinations of paint chips. And if you use those, let me see, I put a couple in my idea journal just so for an example. No, I have not forgotten about the idea journal or idea notebook. Let me go over here to color and show you a couple different ones that we've done. It's got a bunch of notes on it. Okay, so here in the notebook, I put a couple samples because I get people asking me. So like those 6 colors were the Design Seed colors. So I just made my own little boxes and I use the Neo colors. You can use crayons, you can use color pencils, watercolor pencils, just a box of crayons. The point of this is not to use something fancy for coloring. It's to get those particular color combinations down. And a box of Crayola crayons will have enough colors in it to get close. Okay, it's not the point to match these colors like you're going to paint a wall with them. It's just to have the different color combinations as an idea to try different colors that you may not have thought of. Hey, Jeannie. So what I did there, and then this is just a little couple of my cutouts from my cameo I just put on here, just to have something on the page to play with. A sip of coffee, guys. Hang on. Just to have something on the page to play with, to use those colors, just to, mess around with those color combinations. So I put a few of them in here and also talked about mind mapping the colors. We've done that a few times where you take the colors and map them out, what they could symbolize, and then build from there, because then that will give you different things to draw with those colors. In other words, like here, this had a salmon color, the pure orange color, a pure grape color, and then they had like a cream and a lavender. And so I just wanted to show you for an example that you can like write out the word salmon, orange, and grape. Right there, even if you just put those 3 and played and you have to play a lot, guys. You can't just go in there with a sketchbook and think, oh, that's my idea and that's it. You go in and you play with all the different ideas. You could have, and James Christensen, the book we showed, I think it's on my last video. We talk toward the end of that video about James Christensen and how he'll use like play on words with different things. That type of thing will help spark your imagination as well. But like, for instance, if you just sketched out just a salmon, and what this isn't a salmon, that's just a little fish that represents a salmon. Okay, and then an orange and then maybe a bunch of grapes. Well, if you play with just those three elements alone, you can come up with maybe the salmon is carrying a bunch of grapes on his back. Maybe the orange is cut open. Looks like sunshine that could be up in the sky. An orange slice, I mean, an orange wedge. Well, I guess it would be a slice. Up in the sky, that could be the sun. Maybe the fish is in the sky floating. Maybe maybe the grapes are a whole bunch of fish. Maybe the whole bunch of grapes is a whole swarm of fish in salmon color. I mean, you just have to doodle around, play with your different ideas that you mind map off of your color combination. And that's just one thing you can do with these color combinations. And so anyway, the point of all this here is just to get the colors combined, just to get them in some kind of little vignette with all the colors combined, just so you can get a visual of what the colors look like. This is not supposed to be anything necessarily. I mean, it might, but it doesn't have to be anything. It's just a way to get those 6 colors in your combination in one grouping to see what they look like. But then, like I said, play with um, the different colors and write out every single thing that comes to you. Now, if you want to even go further from that, from the word salmon, then you could mind map out things off of that word. Same thing for an orange. You can not just stop with the fruit, but then from the fruit, what does that take you to? Maybe summer, maybe orange juice, lemonade. I mean, it just can go on and on. Um, Yeah, and Eileen, it does. Eileen does this kind of thing too with her color combinations. And she says it does. It helps with color combinations that you would not think to use. So check out Design Seeds. I think it's design-seeds.com, and look for the color swatches, and you can get 2 sets in your email every day, or you can just go to their site and they have the color combinations every day with a photograph of something, in their like sample. Thanks, Eileen. So there for y'all in the chat. And by the way, for those watching the recording, this is a live chat recorded on Ustream with live people. I love saying that. Okay, so here's another one. See, here's another whole thing that we did a mind map on another sample. From orange, we got Fanta, pumpkins, harvest, tangerine, sunshine, sunset, fall, gourds. And then from gourds, got carving. So just from the color orange, you might be carving gourds next. If y'all have not seen, the squashes that are carved, the gourds that are carved, that's real cool too. So anyway, all this can, just taking one word and mapping it out can lead you to so many different kinds of ideas, but you have to write them down. That's why you have idea notebook, because if you don't write them down, you will forget. I will not remember. I didn't even remember that I wrote this in here until I turned the page, because I've had 1,000 ideas since we did this a few months ago. So you have to write them down. Then when you are out of ideas, you can flip through, and believe me, you do this just for a couple of months even, you will have tons of ideas. Okay, so here's another one where this color reminded us of canary. Canary, it's like a light, this was a light lemony yellow, olive, robin's egg, a stormy sky, spring grass, and a tangerine. Now, this has nothing to do with those mind maps. This was just a way to gather all those colors into some form where all the colors were together. So, but from those ideas right there, if your imagination, you think, is failing you, you have all these different ideas that you can combine in multiple hundreds of ways. All right, so there's this color combination. It was like a light aqua. There was like a kind of a lavender purple. This was and you can write down the color names that you use. You could write down, oh, I use Crayolas on this. I use colored pencils on this one. I use Neo colors, whatever you're using if you want to, or just, concentrate on the colors. Rename the colors, what you think they look like. Does that russet? Does that look like russet? Does it look like, you know, um, sienna to you, whatever, because they don't name the colors. I don't think they have even a name on the colors, do they, Eileen? I don't think they name the colors. I think they just, I think they number them. I'm not even sure if it's connected to Pantone or what. On design seeds, I mean. This color reminds me of a clownfish. So this whole little scene here, this reminded me of the beach, shells, clownfish, sunsets and sunrise. So I just threw together some little clouds and a little beach scene down here. But these colors remind me of the beach. It may not remind everybody of the beach. So if you have any questions, put them in caps. No, just no names or numbers. Okay, thanks, Eileen. I couldn't remember. Here's just some cool shades of blue, turquoise, tan, brown. And so, again, a gray, a blue gray, a like dark gray, almost black, turquoise, a couple shades of orange, a russet, or a sienna. So I just put a few of these. I took a few of these out of my other color notebook and put in here. I also have a smaller notebook with these kind of things in it. Just so, let's see what I put that. So you don't have to have necessarily a huge notebook. Now for the idea collecting, I would recommend a big 3-ring. But if you just want to do certain things like just some color combinations, you could do that sort of thing in a smaller notebook. If you just want to collect just the colors and your mind mapping of color ideas, you could do it in a smaller notebook like this and collect colors and things like that. So it doesn't have to necessarily be this big, although I just put a few of them in here for a sample. Okay. I have another big 3-ring binder for color things like this. So just so you can kind of get an idea of the different colors. So I just have a few in here just to show you about design seeds and or paint chip. If you go to the hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, and go over to the paint section, you'll find different color combinations there as well in paint chips. But I would recommend, if you're going to do the design seeds type thing, rather than cut out colors of paint chip things or paper, to try to find even a box of Crayola crayons to make your little squares. And it doesn't have to be squares. It could be ovals. It could be circles. It could be in a straight line. It could be in a circle. You can do however you want. This is just how Design Seeds has them laid out. But to use, color pencils, color crayons, Neo colors, watercolors, even, whatever you have to make your little color combinations. All right, so that's just a little tip there out of the idea notebook. And set this aside. All right. So that being said, I had written down here from this crab, and again, if y'all are just joining us, I'm talking about my big, very big sketchbook that has, like, if you count front and back, 1,200 pages. You can get it at Amazon. It is called the Very Big Sketchbook, and I don't know that it has an ISP. If you just go to Amazon, it's www.art-alternatives.com. But I didn't even know any of that information. I just found it on Amazon. It cost about $25, $22 to $25, probably depending on your shipping. If you have, combo orders and get free shipping and all that. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to use this book for animals, all different animals. Now, when I say animals, that can be an insect. Could be, any kind of non-human, non-human life. I mean, it's just not going to be for people. It's going to be for animals. Okay. Hey, Deb, and anybody else popping in? Thanks everybody for being here. Hi, Lisa. CB, anybody I might have missed? Harriet, thanks everybody for being here. All right. I think I said this before I hit record, so let me say it again. If you're going to do a sketchbook of just ideas, this is not to, even though I did paint a couple things in here, like the frog and a couple of cats and, this little emu thing. Even though I did this kind of stuff, this is not a finished piece. I mean, I'll post these with some pencils laying on them to represent that it's a sketch out of my sketchbook or something like that. But it's more to collect ideas, kind of like my idea notebook, but with just animals. So what you can do when you do this kind of stuff is like here. I sketched out an elephant, but I gave him a green ear representing the leaf, the elephant ear plant. So that just gives me the idea to maybe do a fantasy elephant with big leafy ears. It maybe, who knows what kind of an environment he could be in. And so what I was saying before I hit record is if you take notes, now granted, once again, I'll say this, is I am using a big thick pencil that's dark, and I think it's like a 6B woodless graphite that writes thin, thick, but it writes dark. And that's why I use this in the sketchbook while I'm on stream, because it'll show up. But if you're just going to sketch and draw and you don't want a bunch of graphite moving around, that doesn't bother you, or if you want to go spray it or put wax paper or something between the pages so it doesn't like transfer back and forth, then that's fine too. I love working with my woodless graphites, but they are graphite messy. So if you're going to take notes about certain things, it's also nice to have just a little pen here and make notes like, this is the angry possum. And the reason that it's easier, then that won't smear around a lot. And plus you can write small with that. Okay, so, all right, so let's go back over to that crab. Where I wanted to add the colors. Okay, here. So I wrote some notes: sienna, red, ochre, and Payne's gray. Those are the colors in the actual crab are those colors. So I'm just got my water brush and I got my Neo colors right here just to add a little wash of color. I can go in and shade and do other things as well. But I just want to add the color where it is. So again, you could use Crayola crayons for this because, a box of 96 or whatever has tons of colors in them. And it's not so much that this is going to be a finished piece or anything like that. It's just you can use color pencils, whatever, something quick to get the color down on them. So I want kind of a sienna color, maybe even, I don't know if I want even a little bit, it's a little bit more redder than that. It's more of a red sienna. So I think, let's see which one of these. And again, I'm not sure which one of these I like the best, so I can just do a little test. That's pretty close. Okay, I think, yeah, I'm thinking that one might be the best. Is that one? No, I mixed them up. Yeah, yeah, that one. Okay, and a kind of a Payne's gray blue. Now I don't know that I have a real good Payne's gray color in this set. Let's kind of check that out. That's too blue. I need something a little lighter. I might even have to go with this kind of lilac color. I'm not even sure what name that is. What is the color on that? Sky blue is what they're calling it. It's not quite a sky blue either, but that's kind of a little bit closer. Let's see. Let's try this one. This is a little darker gray blue. That's too purple. Let's go with this one. I think I just tried that one. Is that the one I just tried? Yeah. All right. So maybe I might have to actually go with let's just go with the sky blue. And then a yellow ochre color. Here's kind of that. And it also, I'll just go with those three. Okay. Hey, Anna Marie. Anybody else popping in? So his claws are this sienna color with a little touch of ochre at the top. Now, if you're going to use crayons or something else, you can, fully color that in. I'm going to use water to kind of paint it in. Oh, let me get a Kleenex because that's the best way to clean off a water brush is a Kleenex. So if it gets too, this is actually a little, almost too red. I think I might go with that other one after all. A little bit more russet color. I don't know. Neither one are making me think russet or sienna, but that's okay. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to just activate that little bit of ochre up there. And his claws have just a little bit of a white tip. Again, part of a reason for a good sketchbook is you can do this. You can get details. You can bring it close and show the color, showed more detail than you could if it's far away. So this claw that I'm getting ready to do here, this claw right here, is this claw. I hope y'all can see okay. I'm trying to, keep the balance between the whole sketchbook and being able to see. And then down here, it's a little bit more, actually even could be a little yellow. Just depending on how detailed you want to get. All right, so let me just clean my brush off as I go. So I'm just kind of showing you how different things you can use a sketchbook for. And remember, it's supposed to be a sketchbook. You can get detailed if you want on, as much as you want, but don't feel like when you have a working sketchbook that every page is supposed to be a finished painting. That defeats the purpose of a sketchbook where you can play and test colors and write down ideas. If you're so worried about this being a perfect page, you won't be testing things out. You won't do this. You won't do this if you're trying to do a finished painting on it. You know what I mean, Vern? So this right here, this leg is this leg. So I'm just going to kind of do those same colors here. So you just have to know that this is not supposed to be finished paintings. Yeah, I know, CB, looking at color charts and color references will get you inspired in and of itself. But keep notes. Keep notes of the colors you like, the combinations you like, the rename the colors or name them what you want. Just different things like that will help you spark your imagination. Okay, even his little mouth there is that Payne's gray, and his eyes as well. Okay. And again, I've already sprayed this with a fixative before I'm going in here with these colors because the pencil graphite is so heavy. I would just be smearing black around if I hadn't sprayed these already. Okay. Okay, a little bit of touch of blue on the underside of each of those legs. It's just a little spot like on the underside there. This one is facing me. So you just get a little bit of that on the underside, and then this. And so, if you want to do more detailed studies of animals and things, these are the kind of things that you want to do so that you can really understand. And then you could go in there and research the parts of the crab or whatever you're drawing, and keep a little, write a little bit of information about, how big they get, how long they live, is this one a male or a female, all that kind of information. You may not think it would help you as an artist, but it does. And it helps your observation skills. And the main thing about, being able to draw well is drawing what you see, not what you think is there. You have to train your eye to draw what's actually there, not just what you go, oh, there's a crab leg. Don't. Some of these are facing me. Some of these are, I can't see all the information back there. They're behind the other legs. Some are more in shadow than the others. All that stuff, and you could write that down. When I'm drawing, like at the aquarium, for example, I don't take color with me. I don't have time to stop. I mean, I guess I could take a day and really, all to myself and do that. But when I go, I usually go with the family. We're all going together, and we're moving along. It's not like a tour thing because you can go in any of the sections you want yourself, but it's um, if you want to see a bulk of the fish and animals, you've got to kind of keep moving, right? So what I do is I will do sketches like, a quick sketch like this, or maybe just a sketch like that, and I'll write down the color notes. I might just draw an arrow to this section, like here. Let me get a, like, I might go here that's, Payne's gray. I might do this, an arrow to here, to here, to here, and write sienna, or something like that. And then ochre here, like that. So I might do little notes like this. How do you get rid of scratch marks? I don't know. You mean like where you can see the lines from your crayons? If that's what you mean. I'm not sure. What she's, okay. Oh, okay. Thanks, CB. If is that what you're talking about? I'm not even trying to get rid of them. Yeah, I'm not even trying to get rid of them in this case. Now, it depends on if you're doing a full, a painting, then it depends on the medium you're using, what you can, how to blend things out better. Okay. But I'm just using these crayons as a quick sketching tool. And and I know you probably can't see it, but there are all kinds of lines in there. I'm not worried about that. That's not the purpose of this. This is to, this right here is just to get the colors, to show my colors here. Um, One way to probably help you if you want to color this a little neater without any is to take the paint off of the thing like this. It'll take you longer to do it this way. Okay, let me just show you. It'll take you longer to color in a whole section doing it this way. You won't get any scratch marks. But the problem with doing that is your paper is going to get saturated with water. If you're doing this a lot and keep taking the paint, to get that as dark as I got it here, you're going to have to really get your paper wet. And in this case, this is only probably about a 60, I don't know, I think it was 60 or 65 pound weight paper. It's not thick at all. So it's going to have a tendency to start buckling, and maybe that doesn't bother you. But if you don't want your paper completely saturated and buckling and going through to the other side and all that, then constantly taking the paint off of the crayon and putting it on, well, you won't have any scratchy marks, but your paper is going to get saturated. Yeah. Well, then do that. Take it off of the crayon itself. And if you're just doing something small, it's okay. But here, look at the difference there. This is taking it off with the water, and then here is putting it down and adding water. And if you don't use a whole lot of, I mean, if you're not using big strokes like that, then there's no scratch marks in that right there, very little. But this is soaking wet right there. where I've taken it off. Okay. Yeah, and the same thing, Paula. Yeah, if you want a bigger area, Paula just suggested, if you want more paint, like right at the ready, is to take, do I have a, let me see here in the back, got a piece of wax paper, is to color your Neo color, and this is the water soluble we're talking about here. Color it on a piece of wax paper or your craft mat, if you have a craft mat right there. But some colors are hard to see on the craft mat, just saying. Then you can activate this, okay? Activate all that and use it to paint with. Again, though, this is very wet and it's not as concentrated, okay? So let's just smear that off there. Okay. All right, so those are the colors in the craft. Now, if I want to play with this even more, first off, if I'm going to add any color pencil to this, let me cap my pen here. If I'm going to add any color pencil, if I want to shade in some detail, say I want to play with this and develop the colors and the ideas a little bit more in this, you have to make sure this is dry. Your color pencils, like your Prismacolor, your non-water soluble pencils, are going to just dig right into that. Let me see if I got a, let me just grab a pencil. It's gonna like it's not gonna work. Let's just put it that way. It's just not. It's either not gonna work on the water, it or dig into and pill your paper. You have to make sure this is dry, 100% dry, before you go in there with color pencil. It's just not gonna work. So let me take my heat gun to this real quick. Yeah, and Linda is talking about ink tints too. I should maybe bring out my ink tints pencils sometime and do some more stuff with those on camera. I really don't have a lot of trouble with lines. I'm usually I put it on, I put the color on so thickly that I don't really get a lot of lines. Right here I did because I'm just doing a quick little sketch, didn't care. But if you really want no lines, then you just have to be a little heavier with the color. Okay, like that. And then when you water activate it, there's so much pigment right there, there's no lines. And you can just kind of blend it out. In this case, that's, I'm just wanting to do a quick little sketch for you so you can see. So you can shade like that, just like a watercolor. Light, get darker and darker with your pigment. Now see, there's hardly any lines in that because I put the pigment on so thick. Okay, like right along here, there's going to be a little bit darker. I was going to do this with color pencil, but I'll go ahead and do it with the Neo colors here since the lines seem to be an issue. Okay, so there we go. So now where the pigment is real thick, there's no lines at all. Okay. Does that help? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't usually get much into the odorless mineral spirits. I mean, that's if I'm doing uh, oil painting, I use this. Let me pick up this book before I trip over it. I throw everything behind me while I'm streaming. Is this odorless paint thinner, this brand, um, the Mona Lisa brand, I guess. This is what I use when I do oil painting. But other than oil painting, I don't use mineral spirits in any of my other mediums. I just don't. I mean, I know there's different uses for moving like Prismacolor pencils and stuff like that. I just don't use any of that. My color pencils are completely dry. I don't add any wet mixture in the pencil. Now I'll base coat things with acrylic paint, like an under, like one of my um, portraits with a hat. I might like base coat a color with a dry acrylic paint and then color pencil on top of that. But once I start in with the color pencil, there's no wet mineral spirits or anything in what I do. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I just don't like to add that. For one thing, I have found I work on different kinds of paper, and I found that using mineral spirits or any kind of things like Gamasol and the different names they have for it um, leaves a halo, leaves a wet halo on certain papers, and I don't want any halos on my work. And it doesn't always do it, and probably depends on the brand and the kind and how thick you put it on, how much you put on, all that. It has so much. That's why a book like this is great for testing. You can test all that stuff out in your sketchbook. Okay. Yeah, I have not tried the Peerless watercolors for those that are watching the recording. I know a lot of people are ordering them now. I mean, they've been around for a long time, but the Peerless watercolors are like watercolors that are on a paper, and they're highly, highly concentrated. And so the benefit of them is they're flat. It's like almost like a flat palette of color that are so concentrated you can just pick up just a little bit and it goes a long way. But they're pretty expensive. They're pretty expensive. I don't know, maybe I haven't really priced them lately, but I know a lot of people are talking about them now. So maybe somebody can tell me about how much they cost so I can mention it on the recording. Girl. All right, so there we go. This is a little brighter. The the yellow here is kind of that's about the same color, but it's almost a little bit more brown. I might even add just a little bit of not even that color, more of a around the edges here, kind of shadow it a little. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to show you some things that you can do with your color combinations, your color studies, and how to play with color, work with color, practice with your color, get ideas from your colors. Okay? So this one up here is dry. So let me kind of pull that down just a little here. And then this is where I might go in with color pencils or with, let me make my picture bigger. And that's another thing. I love having an iPad where I can, or an iPhone. My eyes aren't as good to use an iPhone. Even the phone, the 6P doesn't get as big as I like for zooming in as I like on the iPad. So I can get photographs, details real easily when you have an iPad and zoom in, pinch and drag and make something real big. So I can get the details that I might can't see otherwise on like a computer. All right. So we already talked about how this looks like a little ball joint kind of thing in there. But if I wanted to do more shading and detail, then I would probably go with my colored pencils. And let me explain how I do my colored pencils too. That some people ask me about that, and it seems helpful. Right now, I have them in a drawer. I usually keep them in a tote that's easy to go, if I really want to organize them and keep them all together in a nice tote. But I've been using them so much lately, it's just easier for me to keep them in this one of these my drawers here that's in my plastic pencil pen tower. And these are just the Prismacolors. I have also another tray here with some other Prismacolors and some other types over here. But what I wanted to say is the easiest way for me to use my color pencils, I don't like them in a stand. I don't like them. I keep my Neocolors in a box because I don't use them as much as the color pencils. I just use them, to do washes, and it's easier to keep them organized in here. I don't really have a particular order. I keep the colors, kind of like in general together to protect them because they will break very pretty, not real easy, but they're like, you know, a little softer than a Crayola. And it, you know, if you step on one, there it's going to snap, you know. So because each one, if you had to buy them individually, they run about $3 each. You don't want them, you don't want them crumbling up and just in a big, I don't, in a, just in a something like this where they're all just rambling around. I can't justify doing that. And my color pencils, I don't like them in a stand. Some people keep them all in a, like a, some kind of a, what do you call it, a pencil holder thing where they can just grab the colors out. I, that doesn't work for me. When I'm working especially, I want them handy. I want them at my fingertips. So the easiest way for me to organize my color pencils and to use them quickly, other than like all my flesh tones, these are all the flesh tones that I use all the time, plus black and white. Um, then and I'm just, and they're like this because I'm using them all every day. Same for my grays. Okay, so I have my grays and my flesh tones. These I use constantly. And but all your colors, and my, here's my pinks and reds that I use on, and orange that I use on face tones a lot. These are the ones I use every single time I'm doing a portrait. So those are my go-to colors. And I just put them in rubber bands the other day to show people how I gathered them up. But what I do for all my colors is I bundle them in color families: light green, dark green, yellows, and you know, some peaches like yellows and other flesh tones, darker oranges, dark oranges and reds, and uh, magentas. Here's my pinks, light grays, light purple, dark purple, uh, dark gray. Now, see, I do have grays and stuff over here too, but these are the ones I'm using all the time. Dark grays, some other flesh tones and peaches, dark blue and light blue and aquas kind of thing. So it doesn't matter so much the way, that's just the general groups, how I do my color pencils. You have to do how it works for you. But once you get used to a certain grouping, what I like about doing it with the rubber bands around is then you can just pick up, I know I want a light green. I pick up this bundle and I do this. And I just fan through until I find the green I want, and then I can pull it out. You know, it's just much easier to do that than to try to dig through a bunch of just loose pencils. And it's also for me easier than having everything up in a stand like a pencil holder and picking one by one up. You know, like if I had all these pinks standing up in a pencil holder, I'd have to go don't look at each one. And then also in a stand, if when your pencils get small, they're going to get lost down in there. But if they're rubber banded, even if they're tiny, if they're short, they can still pretty much stay in your rubber band, like you know, like that. They'll still stay right there in the middle. I mean, sometimes one or two will drop out, you know, put an extra rubber band, put two rubber bands around it. As long as they're bundled together, you can just pick up that bundle and it's quick. It's quick for me. Because if I'm going from, you know, different shades of a color, I want to be able to see them all right there. So I hope that's a helpful tip for color pencils. But that's just how I've always worked with my color pencils. Even when they're in the tote, when I put these in my carry tote, it's a big black tote with all my pencils, color pencils, markers, whatever. I want to, my handy ones that are not in a drawer, even when they're standing up like that, they're still in the rubber bands so that I can just pull out that bundle quickly and work with it. So that's how I do my color pencils. All right, so set this over here, and now I want like a dark, so here we go. I want a sort of a dark maroon color, so I'm going to pick up this. So I can fan through, and I want a kind of a red brown, not really a sienna, but something a little darker. And so then I can go in here and shade with a color pencil those darker areas. Now, this is not, like I said, again, maybe I want to just play around and do, more detail on the shading and stuff like that, or maybe not. But um, this is not meant to be a finished, you know, full crab painting, if you will. All right, so let me take a second to look at the chat. Yeah, exactly, Eileen. I hear that. They're not the same as they used to be. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of just, do a little parts where it's extra dark around some of these joints, kind of like that. So you can continue on with however much detail you might want in uh, in your sketch. Remember, this is supposed to be a working sketchbook. Okay? Any questions? Hmm. Yeah, Eileen said that today is national, I don't know if it's national or world. Eileen finds these things that there's some kind of holiday every day or some special something every day in the world. And today is National Fill Your Stapler. So I guess I could fill, let me pick up my rulers here. I guess I could fill I call this my tiny attacher. Oh, here's my tiny attacher. I love my long arm stapler because if you're making any kind of booklets or, quick journals or anything like this, gets right to the middle. Anyway, so that I seriously I don't have the tiny attacher, so I kid everybody that this is my tiny attacher. So it's National Fill Your Stapler Day, according to Eileen, the enabler elf, and the enabler, the stapler enabler. Say that 3 times fast. Stapler enabler. Okay, so that's just one thing you can do with your sketchbook. Now, these I just did quick drawings of to have a page for certain things. Like, for instance, this lion here. Something on his face. Let me go back and find the picture, and just so I can remind myself what it was that I thought of paisleys on his face. Because he obviously has no paisleys on his face. Oh, okay. The way the fur grew right above his eyebrows, there were, let me get a Sharpie. Let me move the pencils over. Let me grab a Sharpie. The way some of the fur, and again, this is something I would not normally do if I was going to do color studies or sketches or anything like that. You know, outline a fur area with a Sharpie. I do a lot of this stuff I do on camera so that it shows up. But there's an area on his eyebrows that look like this, and that's all. There's just two, and they're not outlined. They're not outlined in black. They're just shapes that look like a paisley shape. So I thought that it would be cool to maybe run with that and do all kinds of paisleys on his face, and maybe that might make me think of, you know, Indian designs, like Hindi designs or something like that. Zentangle designs. Maybe do another one around his face like that. Maybe just keep going with them. I don't know. And you could play with this as just a whole design. Now, if I want to do something different with a lion face, then I would just go to a new page and draw another lion. Okay. Uh, and there's just all kinds of things that you can, like I love all the beards and using beards and things and the animals. It just kind of gives them character when they have beards. So I'm just using, this is just a, all kind of sort of halfway dried Sharpie. But if you want to play with different color combinations, I know, they use a lot of bright pinks, purples, blues. So I mean, just you can play with whatever you want. It's your sketchbook. So I'm gonna let's grab a brighter lavender, a brighter like a purple, a bright pink, or an orange. Let's go with a brighter. Let's go with that pink. No, let's go with that. Looks a little more neon. Um, a bright blue or a turquoise. Let's go with a turquoise. I mean, you could go with anything. I mean, we just like to, if you just want to play with color one day. Maybe, let me get a better Sharpie because that one's right. Okay, hang on. I got to go to my pen drawer. Oh, wait, here's one sitting over here. This one might work. If you wanted to do all kinds of designs and Zentangle stripes and checks, and if you want to make like a kid's, something very whimsical, maybe we want to do fur that comes out like this, comes down, and I'm just going right over my pencil there. I'm just kind of playing here to show you. Maybe you want to just do half of it, just there's no way. I can't just say, oh, this is the way to do it. And I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to show you and talk out loud all different kinds of ways that you can collect your ideas and your inspiration. Hey, Janet. Anybody else popping in? Miko? Cheesy girl? Sandy chick? Maybe we want a swirly like mustache thing going on there. Swirl them up some mustaches. And then you could also have the whiskers coming out on top of everything after you color things. Okay. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for stopping in. Now, you could do all kinds of play with your colors. You could do different color stripes. You could do, I'm going to put like a heavy coat right along his face here where it looks shaded from dark to light with maybe, let's go from purple to blue. All right, where's my water brush? Okay, so I'll start here in the middle with the purple and just kind of blend that out. Now remember, this is cheap sketchbook, so I don't want to go crazy with the water because it will soak through or start peeling your paper. Okay, then I'm going to get the blue activated here and then just kind of run it into the purple. So just to, another way to play with a real animal and turn them into, a fantasy animal, a whimsical animal, or whatever. And you can still keep them real with different colors. Like that giraffe, I wanted to do him in pink and purple. Okay, so like that. And then you could Zentangle all in those little paisleys. And I'm not a Zentangler, but I'm just giving you an example. Okay, you can play with, all different kind of things here. Like I did that little checkerboard on the penguins, and Sunset Carol said it looked like the penguins were going to go apply for a 50s diner job. That was cute, Carol. Oh my goodness. So anyway, y'all get the idea. Right? After the color dries, no, it's not permanent like ink tints. Now, because you've really, washed a lot of it out, it's not going to be like like really activated, unless you want to put matte medium or something over it. Now, I would not recommend going over the watercolor with unless you fixative it or something. I just don't go to all that trouble. I'll use a different medium rather than worry about is this going to smear if I put matte medium on it. I would just go with it's not a, it's just a sketch. So that doesn't, I wouldn't even apply. But if I was going to do something, a fuller painting, for instance, like we did the big poster of the peaceful peace spa, I used acrylic. So I can matte medium over it, that kind of thing. Or if this would just be a base, like this would just be showing me where I want the colors to go, I would go back over this with acrylic paint if I was going to do a bigger piece, if I did do a wash with it. But this is just for playing in my sketchbook. So, I don't really worry about that kind of thing. But I also know that it's not water, it's water soluble. So if I try to put a wet medium over it, like matte medium, you're going to have to, it's going to probably smear, depending on how much how much you've uh, got on there. Okay. All right, real quick, guys. I am going to. Oh, I was going to maybe add a little bit of orange here in his face. Maybe he'd have a green and turquoise beard. Um, go get some coffee because my throat's getting dry and I can tell. And again, because of being on camera and I'm using the thicker pencil, my graphite pencils that have a lot of graphite in them, I do spray these. I spray them before I add the water on top of these. And that's only because of the camera. Normally, I don't use these pencils to do my sketches in my sketchbook. I use something lighter that I don't need to spray. I don't like to spray. I don't like to take the time to spray with fixative. But for y'all to see everything, I have to, or because you can't see a thin, light line, pencil, line, if that's what I was using. So I do take, not that I mind, don't email me, but I take the time to go outside and spray my graphite sketches so that I can do things on top of them like this to play with. Okay. Hey, Miss Peeper. Okay. When I'm just drawing by myself, Miss Peeper, I just use a Papermate disposable technical pencil. The kind that has a screw out lead like that. It's just a number two pencil, HB, a number two. That's what I use. But if I was going to draw, here, let me show you. If I was over here going to draw this rabbit, if I was going to draw him, like real sketch, sketch him out from a photograph, look, that's what you can see. This is what you can see if I use the heavier pencil. So that's why, this is the reason why I use these pencils on camera. Or I use this pencil if I'm out sketching, like at the museum or the aquarium or something like that, because I can get thick and thin lines. But normally, just in a normal sketchbook, I just use something like this. Okay. All right. So let me go run and get some coffee and I will BRB, guys. And we'll just kind of continue talking about different things you can do in your sketchbook, if that's interesting to you. Okay, and again, you have different sketchbooks for different things. At least I do. This Mama Jamba 600 page, 2-inch thick, 5 pounds at least book is not something I'm going to take out with me and sketch in. This is just to use here on my desk and play with different animal designs or things like that. Um, you know, some of them I add a little bit more detail if I want to, but you know, I don't have to. It's just to play and work in. If I want to, practice what does an owl's eye look, and I'd have to have a picture because I don't know in my head what an owl eye looks like close up. Let's see. There's some cool lizard eyes. Where's my owl? I can't find the owl. There's the raccoon. Let's just flip over to the raccoon right quick. Because I have him right there. And another thing too, I was going to talk about the different kinds of sketchbooks, what you can do with different types of sketchbooks. I'll go ahead and talk about that and maybe show, is Jeannie here? I'm going to show some books, Jeannie. Not new books, though. Okay, so for instance, here's a raccoon. So if I really wanted to, because I do a lot of animal paintings and fantasy, let me get something here for the camera to focus on. I do a lot of animal portraits, animal paintings, fantasy animals. I like to, know details, but I don't make these up in my head, guys. Okay? I don't make up what a raccoon eye looks like. All right? I look at references, and I might take more time to sketch out exactly, where the shading is around the eye. Is it dark here? The fur comes out this way. There's the pupil, but he's got a brown eye, so I might take a brown. Let me find a dark brown here. I might take a brown. Again, I wouldn't probably be doing this with all the graphite in there, but just to kind of show you here, he has a dark brown eye. And then a nice white highlight, which I would put in with acrylic paint. White acrylic. Just kind of showing you real quick some different ideas and options. Please try to remember, guys, none of this stuff I'm showing you is to show you a finished anything. Okay, this is not to show you finished paintings, drawings, or anything. It's just to show you different ways that you can use to develop your ideas and your skills with practice. Okay, so just to kind of show you a little, I might, play with different, get a little black. If I wanted to really study a raccoon eye, okay? So I would probably go in here and play with where the shading is. Where is it darker? Where is it lighter? Darker there. He's got a bigger pupil. You see what I'm saying about what you can do in a sketchbook? In this type of working sketchbook, I should say. A sketchbook where you're really trying to study things, learn things, close up, more details. All right, so, then you go in there when this was dry, I could go in there with colored pencils, just whatever medium you want to practice on. It's just like, whatever. Okay, any questions so far before I go into some other types of books and other types of sketchbooks? Because that's what I'm going to talk about next, is types of sketchbooks and stuff. So I'm just kind of waiting on the chat there. Got a question, Miko? Oh, Eileen's enabling. Eileen the enabler elf. Okay, so you get the idea with, use whatever. I'll use whatever in these sketchbooks. I don't care if they get a little wrinkly. I just don't want water soaking through to the other page. Um, that would be bad news, as Paula says. All right. Hey, Jean, welcome back. You want to do better eyes? Well, the way to do better eyes, go on Google Images and plug in, whatever kind of, like if you want to do cat eye, dog eyes, raccoon eyes, lizard eyes. Like, for instance, let me find one of the lizards I have saved here that I want to practice scales. Like, if I wanted to draw a dragon, the best way is probably to use a lizard. Look at this eyeball here. Let me show you. Look, now if you can't get information off of that, I don't know what you could get information. Go draw that, Miko. You'll learn a lot. Uh, if you want to draw, let me find a human eye here. Here's a blue eye. Here we go. Look. Here's a brown eye. That right there is not my glare on my camera. That is the actual highlight in the eye. Look at that. Now, I know the color is going to be, let's just talk about this for a second. Some people are wanting to say, wanting to draw better eyes. Okay. Look at this for a second. I mean, if you really just study this, first, look at all the shades, not just of brown, but of yellow. Okay. Look at the yellow in the eye. Look how black the pupil is. Look at the highlights. That highlight is blue. That's a blue highlight. It's not a white, just a plain white highlight. Look at all the little flecks. Look at the way that highlight kind of drags out. The whites of the eyes are never pure white. Look at the shadow, that like a blue-gray shadow that is even around the pupil. Look at that. You would think, you see those kind of things even if you're not drawing a ginormous eye. Now, you may not see every little dot when you're drawing the eye this big, but you will see, if you pay attention, you will see the gray, the blue halo. And look at the eyelashes. Look how the eyelashes are not just flicked straight up on top of the lid. They're down here into the white of the eye. Okay, look how the eyelashes grow out, straight up, and then go that away. Look at the corners of the eyes. There's a highlight in the corner. Study this stuff. Look how the top of this eye is yellow, and look at that sienna color. So you have to pay attention to that kind of stuff if you want to draw realistically. If you want to color and paint to make things look real. Now, and please don't email me and say, well, I can't draw realistically. Well, okay, then go draw something else. That's fine. Right now, I'm just talking about if you do. Look where the eyelashes, look at that little lip on the eye right there. Look how the eyelashes grow on the outside of that little lip. You see? Those kind of things, if you practice them, will really help you. Even if you drew a whimsy girl and colored it correctly, you'll have so much more personality in your drawings, regardless of your style. These kind of things, if you practice and learn, will help you whether you're drawing a fantasy animal or a realistic animal. Let me grab let's see if I have them handy here. Okay. The same kinds of things. Now let me find hang on, get another example here. find a sample. The same types of things I'm talking about with this eye, the blue, the gray, the highlights, and all that, are the same principles that I use in a fantasy animal. Okay, so there's look at the eyes. Look how all those shades of brown, gray, and I know my camera's not on autofocus, so I'm doing my best there, guys. Okay, well, if you look real close, you're going to see under here is a different shade of brown than the orange, the yellow, the sienna, the dark brown, the black, a little bit of blue, gray around the top there, gray right there, gray right there, okay? And that's in a fantasy animal. Here is one of my realistic drawings. The same kind of thing. Now, it's probably not going to pick it up, but under the eyelid, it's gray. There's gray in the corners. The highlights have just a little bit of gray, even though they're brown eyes. So even if you drew a fantasy or a whimsy person or animal or children's book or whatever, you can still use those same type of techniques in whatever. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that it doesn't necessarily matter if you're doing, okay, here's another example. Here's just a little cat sketch. I'm doing the 9 lives cats. So here, let me see if I can get it to, it's not wanting to focus. If you can see all the shades of light green, white, there's gray, dark green, olive green, black, gray. So just, so it's, you can use those same principles. Hey, Vicky, that for whatever. Okay. Okay, so I hope that was a little bit helpful. Now on to different kinds of sketchbooks. If y'all want to talk about that, y'all, I kind of try to leave, I try to leave up some of the content to what's interesting to you guys, because I'll be working on my stuff no matter what. So I try to make it interesting for you guys. All right, so again, then you can, this is just a quick little thing. Let me find a pokey tool, or let me just grab the back of a paintbrush here. I'm going to put in a little bit of a highlight, which would probably be a little bit, have some, okay. Might even have another little wisp of a highlight down there. But here's the key, and the best tip, if you want to call it a technique or whatever, that I can possibly tell any artist is you have to learn to draw what is actually there, not what you think is there. And there's different, things that you can do to practice that, like we've talked about drawing upside down. Just to train your eye. Find something in a magazine or on, an iPad or whatever, an animal. Turn it upside down, and without really thinking about, oh, a raccoon has brown eyes, a raccoon has this shaped nose. Don't think about even the animal itself. Look at the shapes and try to draw it upside down. That is training your eye to see what's really there, not what you think it should look like. And then the more you practice that, the more you practice drawing what's really there. Just like I showed you in that eyeball, that big square of blue in the highlight, you would never have thought there's a big square of blue in that eye. Let me make sure my camera's not going to fall over there. You would not have thought that there was a big square of a blue highlight in an eye. That kind of thing. It's because you have to look at stuff. Look at it real careful. And don't just assume you know what's there. You really have to look. Okay. All right. So on to different types of sketchbooks and draw and ways to keep your ideas. Again, this one does not leave the room. It doesn't. I don't even take it to other rooms to draw in. This just sits here on my desk, waiting to draw animals in. Okay. I won't. I don't. I can address like art journals. Art journals are a whole um, subset, if you will, of sketchbooks because art journals can be a sketchbook and can be anything. Your paint, your whatever, your ideas, your dreams. And y'all all know what an art journal is. We all do art journaling. We all know what art journaling is. And it can be any kind of medium. I really kind of want to just concentrate on the idea of a sketchbook right now, which is like this. You draw your ideas down, and it doesn't, and notes and colors ideas. Some things might be more developed if you want it to be. I really wanted to play with the idea of him on a leaf, under a leaf, and space behind him. So I did play a little more with this than I typically would in a sketchbook. But, you know, I really just want you to have a place to go and just, you know, do this kind of stuff. This is the sketch we use to do that poster. And it looks really not much like the finished poster, which I've already posted and y'all have seen. I can't really get the whole thing under camera, but you can see, look, this was the sketch for the idea that I wanted this to be. I knew I wanted his face to be more realistic. All my fantasy animals have realistic faces. But I didn't draw a realistic face here. I could have. I could have developed it further here as an idea. And by the way, we did forget to put his rose-colored glasses on him. But you can see how a sketch is just a tool for what you can want to develop further. All right, let me turn it sides away just so you can see the rest of them. There's his big claw feet, embroidery on the jeans. Let me turn it this way so you can see, you know, that's what the sketch looks like. There's what his feet look like. So that this is to like work out your ideas on. Not that you can't do it, you know, I don't really like to do too much gluing, especially in a big thick book like this. Because then it's just going to get like fluffette. I like to have some books that are just for drawing and doodling and ideas down. Okay. All right. So there's that. Now, let me put these crayons back in here before they roll off and get stepped on. That's the purpose of them being in the box. I'm going to grab a couple different, a couple people's sketchbooks. A lot of my drawing books I've given to Cam, but I'll pull out a few if I can just put my hands on them that might be helpful to sketching. All right, so just give me a second here, guys, to, all right, this is a good one for a different kind of a sample. I'm not going to show you, I don't really want to show you, well, yeah, maybe I will. That might be a better idea. Okay, here's this one. Of course, you know, Danny Gregory, which I still have not found. His new book I haven't found. This was out at Books A Million, and I didn't get to Barnes and Noble. So, let me pull the drawing up. Hang on, guys. I'm trying to pull a variety of things. Let's see. Okay, here, this one. Nature Journal. Some of these are older and some of them. Okay, I've got tons more, but I'll just, and I know I've shown some of these a few times on different shows, but I'm gonna go for a few more since we're talking about sketchbooks. So this is just going to be for my animals. Let me keep that out because I want a camera focus. Let me me grab a couple other of my sketchbooks here that I have handy. All right. Y'all ready for a little sketchbook talk? Hey there, Blade. Good to see you. I did get to see your quick video on, and links are open if you want to put them in, Blade. Artistic biker. He did a art not want to call it a contest, more like a challenge where they had to paint in public and they would move up round by round. I don't know how many rounds there were, but he does have like a 2 minute video that he sped up, and people are walking in front of him painting and all that. And so I wasn't able to be there. I don't even know if you were able to stream or not on that during that uh, show. But he does have a quick little YouTube video out, The Artistic Biker, if y'all want to go check that out, of where he did a live painting demo challenge thing. And he got up to round two. He won round one, he said on the video, and moved up to round two. And I don't know if that's going to be possible, Jean. That's all depends on times and all that. He'd have to email me his information to see. Um, that's all dependent on times and all that, Eileen. He'd have to tell me when he's going to, what his schedule. Okay, so anyway, he did go to round two, and he has a video on that. So just FYI if y'all want to check that out. Okay. You streamed, but it didn't record the stream. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't at my computer. Carrie told me you were streaming, but I wasn't at my computer, so I couldn't even go to the live one, even if you were doing it live. But I did watch the YouTube video, where you were sped it up and showed what you'd done. People walking in front of you watching, and it was really cool. How many people participated in the whole thing, Blade? How many people painted that night? And excuse me if y'all are watching the recording. If you don't want to hear this, just fast forward, people. Fast forward. It's a live show, talking to live people. Thanks everyone for being here. We have over 50 people here today. Yeah, the Artistic Biker is his YouTube channel. So how many people were there? Oh, I think it would be fun. I do dueling painting with Blade. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I can't sing, but that would be fun. Dueling painting. So there's a lag in the chat, so I'm waiting to hear how many people. 12 contestants. Okay, there were 12 contestants. That would be fun. Yeah, there were a lot of people there. A lot of people on there. 12 total people that participated. It's a little rainy and cold for that right now, Jean. I don't think either one of us want to paint in the cold and the rain. Just saying. I can just see us with umbrellas and hoodies and raincoats and blading out there in the driveway trying to paint. Covered up computers and you have to think of the logistics of streaming, people. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me just show you a couple more. Put things in caps if y'all want to say anything. I want to show you a couple other sketchbooks that are, they're just these hardbacks. They're not very expensive. I'm not going to show you, this one's already been recorded a couple of weeks ago where I did the Sunrise in the Morning TV show and did sketches from it every day. So I won't go through this whole thing, but that's what this book was. This one is, again, just another hardback sketchbook, not as thick, as like the very big sketchbook. And it's just got all different kinds. Now, this is a color pencil that I did based off of an oil painting. This is an oil painting from 1432, and I did it in colored pencil. And then this, the lettering here was already in the painting. I have no idea what it says. I just copied it, but then I did my own calligraphy from the Flemish painting, blah blah blah, and about his brother in 1432. So I did my own calligraphy around the edge of the colored pencil. So I was trying to duplicate a master painting that was done in oil, but I did it in color pencil. So there's just that's in my sketch in this sketchbook, along with some different things that we've done. We have done a few of these on. There's another one that's a piece of this is a piece of a oil painting that I did. See, it's just not. They're just studies. They're just studies. Here's some of the cute dogs that were on cute. I don't. Anyway, Twitter posts cute animals or cute dogs or cute something. So these are from cute. Um, Here's some cute cats. Again, just things like that we've done. This was a little another same type of thing that I'm doing in the big animal sketchbook, but just showing different ways that you can take um, a motif like a bird head, and you can be, more detailed with feathers, or you can turn it into, and I'm trying to get this up under my camera, like whimsy type. You see? So there's just different kinds of, these are all just different studies and ideas. A pen and ink, dog, a couple of birds ideas. This was another little cute thing that Boo liked, this little York, like a terrier thing with a little hoodie on. Oh, this was fun. I was visiting Cam and Denise, and I said, let's just draw together. I said, I'll draw this cute little, I think it was a little baby koala or something, and then Cam drew it. So I said, Cam, yours is better than Nana's. So there's Cam's drawing of the same animal. So we both were playing in that. What else do I have in here? So I got some stuff in the back, and oh, that was one. Oh, I was meant to give this to Cam. I had it stuck in here to give to him. How to draw flowers. This is a shading, how to shade things. So I got to remember to give that to Cameron. I brought it up to give to him in this sketchbook, and it's still in the sketchbook. So I give a lot of my art books to him. Y'all don't know my grandson. Cam is amazing. Let me see. I want to show this one picture. I know I've shown it before, and I know things don't show up on the iPad really well. But let me see if I can scroll back to where he drew Joan. Hang on, let me scroll. After Joan Rivers passed away, he did his own memorial, just out of the blue. He drew Joan Rivers. So let me see if I can find it, though, because I've got 2,000 pictures here. It's not that far back. Let's see. Let me see if I can find his drawing. And it might be on my phone. I'm looking on the iPad, but it might be. I haven't clouded my phone lately, so it's probably not on the iPad. But let me double check. Just be patient, everybody. I bet it's just on my phone, because I don't remember if I took it. Oh, here it is. Okay. It's going to be a little dark, but anyway, this is his drawing of Joan Rivers. So there's Cam's drawing of Joan Rivers. And he just turned 15. So I thought that was pretty good. I know, Vicky, right? He did that. He did his own memorial of Joan Rivers. Okay, so back to different kinds of sketchbooks. I know, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss some? What did I miss something? Is he leaving? Oh, you need to email me, Blade. Let me put my. I don't know. He might already be gone. Maybe Carrie could repost it for me because it doesn't let me put in my email. Yeah, he's thinking about going to Savannah College of Art and Design, SCAD, in Savannah, Janet. But he's very engineering and very mathematical. He's very well, he's smart, but he's very good at that kind of math, engineering, science. He's real good at all that too. So it's kind of hard to tell. You know what I mean? He likes that too. But you know, I'm with whatever he goes with. Thanks, Blade. Okay, yeah, let me know. Okay, so let me show y'all some of the sketchbooks and books that I have. I pulled this many. Jeannie, sit down now, Jeannie. Jeannie she likes books like, well, we all love our books, but she goes, oh my gosh, book enable alert, book enabler alert. So I talk about this as my old 1970 something copy of Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. And whether or not you believe about how the brain functions and all that, pick up the drawing tips in here. How to know how to draw negative space and the things about drawing upside down and the different types of things that she shows you, whether you read all the science of it or whatever, the theories of it or not, it's still an excellent book for the techniques. The practice techniques is amazing. All right, so let me just kind of put that aside because I've shown that 100 times. All right, so couple of different sketchbooks. This is an older one that I've had, and this one kind of borders on an art journal and sketchbook. So a lot of the kinds of art journals and sketchbooks cross over. When we used to just do sketches and sketchbooks, we would add paint, words, and all that, but we didn't call them art journals. So it's kind of like, whatever you want to call how you collect your work, you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you call it an art journal, a sketchbook, a combination art sketchbook, whatever you call it, it's still where you keep and collect. Jeannie, it's where you keep and collect your reference, your practice, your ideas, your sketches, all that. Okay. Now, art journaling, like the way, like for instance, Paula does it, it takes it to a completed level. So, when she does, not always. I mean, she has certain journals where she'll just throw the paint in to use later. Okay. And I have one of those too. I call it my desk journal. So if you have a place where you just throw excess paint and things in, things like that, words, paint, ideas, that to me is a desk journal. And that's different than a sketchbook or a journal. Like for instance, Paula's desk journal, which you would just like throws her stencils in there, and I'm just using Paula as an example. It could be any of y'all. It's just that I've watched Paula's long enough to use her as an example. I don't hope she doesn't mind. You don't mind, do you, Vern? I don't even know if she's still here. Okay, so anyway, like if you have excess paint on your stencils, you just throw it on or smear it off in those kind of desk journals, or a place to keep excess paint, little leftover collage bits and all that that you can end up painting over and turning into a fully finished art journal page. So that's a separate kind of a book as well. A book where you just throw leftovers. You could call it a leftover. I call it a desk journal. Leftover books, and then maybe later you'll go back and turn it into. I don't want this to get off onto like a whole art journal show, but let me just grab one of my finished desk journals. Okay, so here's one of my previous desk journals. And so I might, take some things might be more finished than others. Some things just might be scraped paint. But then you could, that's a whole another art journaling topic. All right. Now that's not, I'm not going to get that back up there without a chair. All right. So, okay. So back to a sketchbook or like this one, some people call them field journals. If you are a person that does nature drawing, nature painting, nature sketches, you might call it a field journal, or different. Again, you can. There's different terms for the same thing. This one is an older one. It's Hannah Hinchman, and I have a few books by her. This one was one of her first one that I got by her. It's called A Life in Hand. And what she did is she shows how she does nature drawings. Okay. Call it a sketchbook, a journal, or whatever. And she talks about all her different walks and how she sketches and draws, but it's all based from life. Her work is done from observation in nature out there, with a pen or pencil and drawing right there. Here's like some of her notes. Okay, so all different kinds of things that she'll draw, but she draws them directly from life. All right, I'm just kind of going through. Here's a good example. Here's some pine cones. And then look, again, see all the little details that she picks up to draw? Okay. And again, Danny Gregory, which I pulled his book too, he believes in drawing with just a pen. Now, again, don't make everything a hard and fast rule. Don't say, oh, well, Danny Gregory's drawing just a pencil. I can't draw with a pencil. Dee Dee doesn't like to erase, so I can't erase. You have to find your own artistic way and practice all of it. Practice with a pencil, erasing, non erasing. Practice with a pen, doodling, sketching, drawing from nature, drawing from life, drawing from photographs, drawing your hand, drawing. You have to practice all of it because none of it goes to waste when you practice. But the main thing is you have to learn to observe and draw what you see, what's really there, not what you think you see. Okay, that's just, and that comes with observation, taking the time to really just look at something and draw what is there rather than what you think. And that takes time. It takes time to sit there and draw. I don't have a scratch. How can I not have a scratch piece of paper right there? Okay, so like, let me find my big thick pencil that shows up on camera. Where to go? Where to go? Find another one. Okay, hang on, guys. I can't find my big pencil that's right here, or was right here. Probably underneath all of this. There it is. Okay. So, for instance, I'll just turn the book. So, if you're just sitting here looking at your hand, now my view is looking this way. Your view is looking that way. So, what I'm going to draw, I'm going to draw that, but you're going to see that. Does that make sense? Because I'm drawing it from my point of view, which is that. And you're going to see that. But you take the time, and this is where most people just, especially in our fast paced, let me get a comfortable position, fast paced world, we don't want to sit down and take the time to, and I'm looking at I'm looking at my hand 90% of the time and my paper 10% of the time. You stare at what you want to look at this because this is going to go wrong if you're not looking at that. Okay, so you have to look at this more than this because this is going to deceive you. You're going to sit here and think, oh, my hand looks like this. And you might have a little bit of a representation of it, but that's not what it looks like. That's what you think it looks like. So you have to stare. You have to stare at what you're drawing and just concentrate on every little wrinkle, every little. And again, this is where practice comes in. Negative space, the space between this finger and where this finger connect, there's that much space. So I'm going to leave that much space right there before I go and touch the, do the next finger down here. And I might not do the top of this hand yet. I'm concentrating on that negative space right there. And again, I don't know how much you can see with this. I'm kind of trying to draw dark enough for you to see. All right, so there's that finger comes in there, and then the fat part or the wrinkly part of my hand inside there. My palm of my hand, only that much of the palm of my hand is showing right here. That's all the palm of my hand I can see when I'm looking at it like that. Look, see how much of the palm of my hand there is right there? That's all the palm of my hand I can see. Just that much. Let me try to tilt my hand back in the same position. I have about that much space between that finger and then this is shorter. Don't want to get that too long. So again, I'm going to just erase that extra long finger there. But it's also better if you don't erase, if you're practicing like this, just to keep going over and over the lines. Like if you don't get that hump right, just do the hump right where it's supposed to be, like that, okay? And that's just so that you don't lose your concentration. Okay, so this finger, and I'm even drawing this faster than I should. If I really wanted to take my time and observe every little finger, now because here's my ring right here. My ring's right here, and it's kind of pushing this, making this finger a little fatter because the pressure from my ring is making this finger fatter right there. Okay. And let me get back in the same position here. And notice the lines of your finger. These are not all going straight up and down. This curves with that finger. That curves with that finger. All right, so let me go back up here to this finger. And this is just a little demo to show you, you have to study. I'm looking at my hand much more than I'm looking here at my finger. Okay, then this hand, this comes much longer here than you'd think. There's my top of my finger bone there. Lots of wrinkles here. Okay, then my thumb comes right, these fingers are this far behind my thumb. Look, see how far that is? But I'm looking at it like this. I'm trying to kind of see how I'm looking at it. There's my view. I'm trying not to move my hand. This is the view I'm drawing from, okay? So my thumb looks extra big because it's close to me. My thumb is not really that much bigger than my fingers, but because this is close to me and that's farther away, and that's where adding shadows can help. I'm just going to shade that in real quick. Can help distinguish from the background from the foreground like that, okay? So I don't know if this is helpful to anybody, but I just want to kind of show you. There's all my wrinkles on my hand, and then this comes down like this, and my sleeve is like right there. My thumbnail. You just have to keep looking here. Keep looking here. Don't keep looking here. Lots of wrinkles there. Wrinkles, wrinkles, wrinkles. Oh my gosh, I got so many wrinkles. Just kidding, guys. But it's extra dark right under there. It's extra dark right under there. So even the shadows are very telling if you just really look and draw them where they are, not where you think they should be. Like I said, all these fingers under here have a lot of shadow to them. There's very little shadow on this hand, okay? So there you go. Let me see if I can get my position back again. It was kind of like that. All right, so can you see what I'm talking about? Look at the space between here and here, here and here. See? Okay? But I spent very little time looking at the paper. I just stared at my hand. Okay, so that's drawing from life. What you know, right out there drawing, and then of course she spent more time staring at this. This is a lot more detail. She could have spent, hours on this. So anyway, she's a good one for nature drawing, creating the illuminated journal. So she's calling it illuminated journal, okay? And you can call it a sketchbook, whatever. Whatever, it doesn't matter what you call your book. You can name it after your dog. Okay, so here we go. How to keep a sketchbook journal, okay? Some can call it a nature book, a nature sketchbook, a sketchbook journal, art journal, a drawing journal, a sketchbook, okay? And Claudia Nice, she does a lot of paintings with pen and ink. She uses pen and ink. She'll draw first, but she'll use a pen and ink as there'll be more of that in her technique, I guess I could say. And again, I'm not going to go page by page. I just want to give you some ideas. So here is her pen and ink drawing. Then she adds watercolor, I think. It might be gouache. It might be watered down acrylic. I don't remember. But you could do the same thing with watercolor. As long as your ink is permanent ink, like is in the microns, or those fine micron type pens that have permanent ink, that's not going to wash away with watercolor. Okay, so just so you can see a pen and ink. Look, she even has, look, the front foot, the hind foot. Look how different the feet are. Would you have thought that the little chipmunk would have a completely different front and back footprint? Okay. Now, if you're going to do something like this with a micron pen and this detail, you want to use Bristol, which is, it's thicker than cardstock and it's smooth, because you cannot get this kind of detail on well, you can get some of it, but you won't be consistent in your pen and ink work on a textured paper. You need a Bristol. And Bristol will take your watercolor as well for this kind of detail. I'm not saying you can't use pen and ink on a mixed media book or anything, but if you want to get this kind of detail, you're going to need a smooth surface, or a watercolor, a hot press watercolor paper, which is smooth. The cold press is a little textured, and the hot press is smooth. And it's thick enough to take the water, is what I'm saying too. So here she did, again, see the detail? I know all of Claudia Nice's books are nice. That is for sure. I've got 2 or 3. I'm not sure. Somebody says she has a newer one out as well. I don't have a newer one, but just so you can kind of get an idea of the detail that you can do with even nature drawing. It doesn't have to be people or animals. It can be, leaves, trees, pots. And here's again, different. And she talks about her colors, what she uses. Look, green, layer, red. See right there, her color notes. So that she shows you where she layered the green and the red and got the brown. See, all that kind of stuff. So these kind of books are just excellent for all of it. All right, here's one of her sketches from the pelican right there. Okay. All right, so that's just another, I'm kind of showing you different names and how people call them and how they use their different sketchbooks. All right, I got to make a pile on the floor. Now, of course, there's Danny Gregory's The Creative License, where he talks about, now he's got, he's on his 4th book now, which I haven't found yet. He's got The Creative License. He's got, the second one is, hang on, let me tell you, I didn't pull it down. An Illustrated Life, where he shows different other people's sketchbooks and journals, which that might be good because there's so many samples in that. Then he's got uh, a travel drawing book, and then he's got his new one out now, Art Before Breakfast. So this was his first one, where he would draw everything in his house, his clothes, his food. He would draw, and he draws it all with pen and ink, or ink, a pen, okay? Because he wants to just capture that moment. He's not really necessarily going for a perfect accuracy, although he does take his time and try to draw as nice, nice as he can, but he doesn't erase. So if something doesn't turn out, he just keeps moving on. So, like for instance, here's some lures, So, um, got to be careful of any nudity, because he does some life studies, and we can't show that on UStream, but it's just everything that he. I'm trying to find where he drew his clothes. Here's his stacks of sketchbooks. Thanks, Eileen. Yeah, Claudia, nice. Yeah. More. So, until you have hundreds of sketchbooks and drawings, and you can't say, I can't draw. Well, when you have 100 sketchbooks, then come back and say, I can't draw, because you will. You will be able to draw. You fill 100 sketchbooks, or even 10. Fill 10 sketchbooks, and you anybody that says they can't draw, that's what I would tell them. Go fill 10 sketchbooks and get back to me. So anyway, Danny Gregory, the creative license, giving yourself permission to be the artist you truly are. Okay, and he draws with pen. But this is a second book, and it's an illustrated live, drawing inspiration from the private sketchbooks of artists, illustrators, and designers. Okay. And thanks everybody for being here. I know I've missed saying hi to somebody. Hey, AJ. I mean, we've got over 50 people here. So if y'all have any questions, put them in caps so I know that you're talking to me. Otherwise, everybody just talks amongst themselves. Hopefully something productive and positive. Eileen has the power of the boot. So if it goes south, hey, sorry. Eileen can kick out whoever she wants. So just saying. No, you cannot, Stonetta. You cannot show even master works you cannot show any nudity at all on Ustream. Just be forewarned. Yeah, you cannot show the statue of David. Ask a couple people that have tried. Talk to Artistic Biker sometime. Okay, so yeah, hey Dana, congratulations again on the new baby. You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, we love seeing the little pictures. Dana said on Twitter, everybody get in, just form a line to the left to smell baby hair, or hair, the newborn baby head, or something like that. It was so cute. Okay, so the Illustrated Life, drawing inspiration from the private sketchbook of artists, illustrators, and designers. And what he has in here, I think there's about 50. I counted them last time we were here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 30, 40. Yeah, about 50. I'd say about 50 different sketchbooks, looking inside the sketchbooks of other artists, designers, and illustrators. So there's a couple of pictures for each one, and a little write-up, a little bit of a write-up about each artist, and shows inside their sketchbooks or their, just whatever they're working on. And I have quite a few of these type of books, different types of compilation of different artists, illustrators, and designers, and their work. So I'm just kind of doing a little bit of a flip here just to kind of show you all different kinds of, everything. Book designers, all kinds, just, and like I said, there's a little write-up about each one, so you can kind of see what their profession is, what they do, whether a book designer or a illustrator. And then sometimes I'll show little pictures like this of the workspaces. Yeah, Janet, we talked about that when I showed my old 1970s copy of Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. Yeah, we talked about that one earlier. Okay, so there's that. And the reason I'm showing this is just all these different variations of a sketchbook. I'm not trying to show these books in particular, but just showing you the different ways that there are to keep a sketchbook, art journal, drawing book, whatever you want to call it. All right, so I got to cut three more here. This one is called Drawn In, and she started, as far as I know, that's how I heard about her first book by its cover. She had a blog years ago. She may still have it, Julia Rothman, and it was all about different kinds of sketchbooks, drawing books, books, and she had a blog, and I haven't been there in a long time, so I don't even know if it's still there. But she published a book based on, and again, let me kind of, I have to be careful what take a peek and see what we're showing here. But again, it's the same kind of thing. It's different artists, their sketchbooks, what's inside of them, how they use them, little profiles about each of the artists. Okay. I love these kind of books. It just gives, this is the kind of thing that inspires me. Seeing all different kinds of art. I love every kind of art. I love all of it. I love just a smash of paint on an art journal to the most detailed drawings. I love all of it. And everybody has different things they like, different styles, different techniques and different ways. Everybody has things that they like better. That's why there's so many variations, because we all like different things. All this is lettering, different types of lettering. So just to kind of flip through here and show you different working sketchbooks. I hope y'all find this, useful, helpful, informative, inspiring. I mean, you might see something like, for instance, here. Let me show you this. Let's say you never thought about over painting on top of something. Look at these patterns. Look how they paint. The background is paint, and then I don't know what they used, whether it's paint, ink, whatever. I don't know the medium they used here. But look how it's layered with different colors of paint, and then it's drawn on top of. It's kind of like Zentangling on top of a painted surface. So just that right there, I could think of all kinds, and that's where you write it down. Write down in your idea book. I need to try doing a couple of paint. Let's try some white paint over a painted background. Whether it's and it's not even necessarily just white. This one happens to be white. Here's where they've used red. Okay, it's not even so much the color, but this white just stood out to me. So I might see that and go, oh, you know what? That's really cool. So if I wasn't live, which I'm going to just still do a demo here, I might pull out my desk journal. Let me find a page here. Okay, I might pull out my desk journal where I've glued some things in, painted over, and glued some more things in, and pull out some white paint. I still got a little bit of white paint there. Let me find a kind of thin brush. All right. And I might just think about, oh, that is just a cool technique. Let's see what we can do with just a whole bunch of, stuff like that. Let's play with the idea of these towers having, so this may be all I do. It may be just this much. Just the idea of the white paint over top of a painted journal page. Okay, I'm just kind of showing you how I might think about it, like that. That may be all I need. Oh, I love this idea. So I didn't copy this, page, but I got the idea of putting white paint on top of a page. give me a DD journal over a book. You're so sweet, Dana. So, but then now I'm looking at this and thinking, oh my gosh, I love this design, next to this design. So that kind of ties those two things together. Just, happen chance, if you want to call it that. So that's the kind of things that you can keep in your idea book, sketchbook, desk journal, whatever you want to call it. All right, so let me just show a couple more here. Being careful to take a peek before I flip it open here. So, and see, it's the actual sketchbook. See, photograph the actual sketchbook. Okay, so that's called Drawn In, a peek into the inspiring sketchbook of 44 fine artists, illustrators, graphic designers, and cartoonists. Okay, Julia Rothman. Then I just pulled something different here. Somebody asked me a while back about cartooning. I have a few kind of books like this that are mostly manga and that kind of thing, and I've given them all to Cam. So he's got a whole bookshelf of manga drawing and all that because for a while, that's really what got him started to draw. The Mark Crilly type things, all those kind of books and sites that got him, into really because he could master that. And then once you're a student or a child masters one little thing that makes them confident in a little bit of skill, it makes them want to keep practicing those skills. So, it really inspires them to love the thing that they're doing. And if you love something, you're going to want to practice it. If you don't love it, you're not going to practice. And if you're not going to practice, you're not going to develop the skills, and the skills will be you always can fall back on your skills. I hear people saying, "Oh, I just, I don't know, I can't really, I don't know what to draw," and most of the time they never write anything down. Not fussing at you, don't email me, but most of the time they're not writing things down. They're not writing ideas down, sketches, doodles, notes, color studies, anything. They're just keeping it all in their head and thinking, oh, I've never drawn anything, but I've got it all in my head. So when I want to go draw a portrait of somebody, I'll be able to do it. It's all in my head. No, it doesn't work that way. It takes a lot of practice, but you won't practice if you don't love it. If you don't love to draw, you will not practice drawing and you won't get good at it. Same thing for music or writing or whatever thing that everybody has something creative that they love. And that love is what will inspire you to practice. I know I've said all this again. I don't want to get on my soapbox, but it's the love of the thing that will keep you practicing, whether it be music, writing, drawing, painting, computer programming, whatever creative thing you do, it's the love of it that keeps you practicing. And as you practice, you build your skills. And with those skills, comes the inspiration and all. Most if you don't feel inspired that day, I have found that if you will just sit down and go with the skills you have, go with whatever skills you've practiced and developed and start there. And then you will get inspired. But people think, oh, I just don't know what to do. I'm not even going to go sit in the studio today. Well, if you just go sit down and say, oh, I know how to draw squares really well. I can shade a box really well. And you open your sketchbook and shade a box, you will start that inspiration creative process. But most people give up before they even sit in the chair. I tell everybody 90% of your inspiration is in your butt. I'm serious. It is sitting down in your chair. That's where your inspiration comes from. But most people don't even take the time to sit down to do it. And they wonder why, I just don't get any work done. Well, hello. Okay. So anyway, get back to writing down. Yeah, exactly. You got to practice your scales. Exactly, Carol. Okay, so I got two more books here, and we've been over here about a couple hours, so let me address these books and, whatever else comes up to get y'all to go open a sketchbook. Thanks, Lisa. So this one's a cartoonist workbook. Like I said, I've got this one. Cameron was never really interested in cartooning per se. So he said, no, I don't think I need that one right now, Nana. Because guys, he's got shelves and shelves of books that I've given him because he loves it and he practices. And as he develops, I give him the next one and the next one. And till he drew, on his own. And again, I probably won't be able to just put my finger on it because it's probably not right here. Oh, it is right here. Until when Joan Rivers passed away, he sat down, found a picture of her, and drew this. But he couldn't have done that without probably drawing, 10 books fulls of manga or practice on other things. So, he just sat down and drew Joan Rivers. So that kind of thing. It just takes practice. It does take practice because once you practice, you build your skill set. And that skill set gets bigger and bigger, and then you can do more and more. But you're not going to sit down and draw sit down, the first time you pick up a pencil and draw that Joan Rivers portrait. Yes, that was Cam's drawing. And he drew that the day she passed away. And it's about this, it's probably about this. It's bigger. It's bigger than that. He drew her quite large there. And he's just turned 15. Okay, so the cartoonist workbook, drawing, writing, gags, and selling. Now this is an older one that I've had for a while. Let's see, it came out. I got this 1997, but it's another little thing of practicing capturing emotions and gestures, and there's just nothing that you put a pencil to paper is in vain. It's all going to be used, even if you just sit down and draw uh, ladybugs with thumbprints like we did last week. But these kind of things help you observe. Like there's different kinds of different shapes of things. It helps you be aware, even if you have no plans of ever being a cartoonist. Even just practicing small things like that helps you with your composition, your different lettering, your different perspectives. They all help you in some way. The way your eyes look, move, up, down, left, right, gestures. Here's a little caricature using uh, what's the name? What's their names? Laurel and Hardy, and helping you just to observe, because that's the biggie is observation, drawing what Then you can go off in your imagination and make characterizations and exaggerations and things like that. But you always want to be practicing your observation skills. So this is just another little book here to show you, something to practice with. Whoops. All right. And then lastly, I pulled out another one on nature journaling. Learning to observe and connect with the world around you, Claire Walker Leslie and Charles E. Roth. And again, it's nature journaling, observing. And look, here's just quick little shapes to get the idea of the squirrel. You start with just a couple of shapes, a head, a torso, a bottom, a couple of shapes and that gets you, gets the shapes going. Once you start observing shapes, and again, I know I've shown y'all, how to practice shapes with tracing magazine people, or the shapes, the the shapes. I guess that's just all I can say, and that helps you observe how big. I don't know if I have those handy. Yeah, I do. I just keep keep it all here for you because I know I need to keep bringing this stuff out. Uh, when you take a piece of tracing paper over here's a good one, over a magazine girl, in this case, and you realize how big things are. Comparison. Here we did the 7.5 head thing. But these kind of things help you it trains your skills to see shapes and this and how things really look. Because people will think, oh, the head's this big and their body's that big. Well, that's because you haven't really looked at how big a head is in comparison to the whole body. So, and of course, there's whimsy and other exaggerations for other purposes, but to know to know authentically how things look, this is a good practice. Just take a piece of tracing paper, put it over a magazine image, and just draw just the shapes. Okay, and we got a few of those in here because you'd be surprised at how. Well, I guess I didn't keep as many in here as I thought I did. Oh well, you get the idea. I keep this bundled up for just this kind of occasion. Uh-oh, knocked over my little cards. So, back to the nature here. Nature. And here in different books like this will tell you what kind of, and all of us though have done enough sketchbooking, art journaling that we've tested out tons of different types of books. So but most of these kind of books will cover materials and things that you don't want to get too wet on this one, or this one's too not smooth enough for a pen, and that kind of thing. Because if you are a true beginner, then it is nice to have that basic information on supplies, and most books will do that. So this is a lot of pen and ink drawing, just straight from nature, quick observations, and so you can kind of see that. All right, so there's just a couple different kinds of things that you can call a sketchbook, art journal, a combination of nature, sketch, whatever kind you want to call it. So hopefully that's helpful to you. And like I said, what I'm trying to do in this one is kind of like what we did today, which is just putting down your ideas. I'm trying to find the crabs. Yeah, okay. So what we did today is we took the sketch of the crab, which kind of started out like, just a sketch like this, which I had sprayed with a fixative because I used the heavy graphite before I put the color on, so I sprayed it. And like I said, I used the heavy graphite so that it shows up on camera. You don't have to do that when you're sketching for yourself. But if you do, spray it. Because when you go to put crayon, whether even a Crayola crayon, a Neocolor, a color pencil, this is heavy graphite, and you're going to get a lot of smear smudges and a lot of black muddying up your colors that may make you disappointed in the results. So it's better to go light, and then where it is dark, you can add, either pen or a Neocolor or dark color pencil that's not going to smear, but graphite's going to smear. Okay, especially if you do a heavy something like we're using here. I recommend just, if you're going to add color and stuff to it. If you're not going to add anything to it, but just a sketch, then this is fine as long as you spray it. Okay? So hopefully y'all enjoyed that and got some color idea inspiration and some note taking, write in your sketchbooks. Don't try to make this so precious that you can't just pick up something and do whatever you want in it. Okay, because then you will not be, you're going to be so concentrating on having a perfect page. Just find one book that is just going to be for this kind of stuff. Just one. Even you don't have to have all your books be just this kind of stuff. You can have a book for an art journal, a nature, a pen and ink. If you want to practice your Danny Gregory, your cartooning, have a book, a sketchbook for all the different things. Nothing wrong with that. But have a place where you can throw down water, pencil, notes, pen and ink, or whatever you want, and not worry about it being perfect. My stipulation for myself, and that I like to tell people, is the graphite. Heavy graphite is going to smear when you go to the other page and draw. It's going to transfer that over there. So I am aware of that. That's pretty much my only thing I keep in mind when I'm doing my sketchbook, is I don't want just a big, you know, scruffy mess of graphite, you know. So, okay. I try to drill it in your heads. I do. I try to do practice, write it down. Where's, oh, yes, Vicky, the whip. Okay, for those of y'all that might be new here, Vicky reminded me. Thank you, Vicky. Let me find it here. The whip app. Crack-a-lackin', people. Crack-a-lackin'. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for being here, and y'all have a great day. Go draw something. Bye, guys.